coming up to 6 AM on Tuesday the 30th of January, and I'm starting the second phase of my Wiltshire Churches Conservation Trust trail. I'm visiting all the CCT churches in Wiltshire. Today's a train assisted ride. Here's a fast one coming by before mine follows it shortly. I'm at my local railway station in Bath, Oldfield Park. I'm going that way, about 4 or 5 stops to Westbury, and then I'm riding about 49 miles down to Salisbury. To avoid rush hour coming home between Salisbury and Bath on the train, I'm going to hop in Wetherspoons and have my evening meal. My train is at 7:40 PM tonight to Bath Spa, so hopefully I'll avoid the rush hour, plus the fact I'll have built in a meal stop after dark. It's coming up. I'm on my trusty 26-inch wheel hybrid Caribou bike. My train's already left Bristol. I checked that on the train line app and it's on time. It should be here soon after 6. My first church will actually be in the dark. I'm fairly confident I can get in. And then the last church, just before we get to Salisbury this evening, is quite isolated by all accounts and stunning also, I've heard. Been wanting to go for a while. Normally these trains, the bicycle policy is first come, first served. Just walk on. If there's space, it's yours. If not, you may have to negotiate. But I actually had to book my bike on this train. I did it via the train line app, but what that does mean is you've got to come to the station and print your tickets out, including the bicycle reservation, which is there. I don't know whether that's a new policy or not. Normally I just prefer the e-ticket on my phone. And the same coming home this evening as well. Just coming into Bath Spa station. There's the Bath bus station. So this is where I'll be getting the train back to this evening. Then it's just a short ride from here back to my home in Oldfield Park. Just a couple of things I want to mention before I start the ride and tell you what's happening today. On Saturday I rode the Old Axe Club Bristol 100km Old Axe called the Jack and Grace. And several of you came up to me and introduced yourself to me and mentioned my video, so that was really nice. Thank you very much. I do want to say I try and read all the comments. I normally put the heart sign up to sort of recognise that I've read them, and if there's any questions I do my best to respond to them as promptly as possible. But I do know I'm not seeing all the messages actually, because I think they've sort of changed the way they feed them to me. So if I don't appear to have read your message, my apologies. I don't always see them straight away. Thank you to everybody who came up to me on Saturday, sometimes just passing me on the road as well. That was really nice. It meant a lot to me. Also, stick around to the end of the video, because next Monday, me and Linda have got a bit of a travel challenge, and we're going to go for something which is a bit different. It could end up being a journey from hell, or it could be a great adventure. And she has sort of said she's okay for me to vlog it, so I'm going to try and film it. Whether it works or not, I will post it. So today's ride is 50 miles from here down to Wetherspoons at Salisbury, and I'm visiting en route 6 Wiltshire Churches Conservation Trust properties. I'm starting here in the dark, and I've got about another hour before it gets light, and the first church is only 3 miles away. So I'm going to be visiting an historic church and its churchyard in the pitch black. I'm fairly confident I can get in. So let's get moving, get there, and I'll explain more when we get there. I've got plenty of high vis on, my bike's all lit up, I've even got my disco rim lights going. St Mary's Church, Old Dilton, that way. Well, I'm 2 miles into the ride from Westbury station, 2/3 of the way to the church, and I didn't recognise any of that. It's another classic example of just follow the GPS track and it opens up a whole new route. This is an area I'm familiar with. If I come down from Bath heading in the Wiley Valley, I'll come in this way, up this hill. I just assumed I was going to come that way, but I didn't. I just came through all these residential streets and eventually followed the no-through road you get through on foot and bike. I'm at the bottom of the hill. It's got the top of here, over the brow of the hill, turn left, and then we drop down towards the first church. church is back there. I've just overshot it. I've gone to collect the key. You can see it's starting to get light. It's going to be quite atmospheric in the grounds, I think. Right by the church is the River Biss. It's not much more than a stream coming off the Salisbury Plain Downs railway embankment up there. And here's St Mary's Church, Old Dilton, the first of today's churches, at 3 miles into the ride. Here we are, St Mary's, Old Dilton. May get an idea of how isolated it is around here. Just a few residences. Railway line embankment goes right across. The church with its quirky tower has been likened to an upside down ice cream cone. Now your natural assumption is when you get the key it must be for the porch entrance there, but it's not. It's actually for the chancel here. I don't think there's going to be any light in here, so this is all going to be by head torch. Wonderful old bleached box pews. I have been here before, done a video about it. There's the raised pulpit. Wonderful old box pews, different sizes. And as I came to understand it, that families would actually either own them or rent them. So the bigger, better placed box pews would be for wealthier families. And then the ones over there on the north wall, smaller ones, would be less wealthy people. And they'd be passed down through generations. There's a font, as often happens, right by the entrance, that people would come in to worship through the porch. And there's the raised balcony at the back. Wonderful old stone font, lead lined. They've often got covers on to secure them. Everything, all the wood in here just looks really bleached. You may see if I shine the light up there, the pulpit is very raised. Then above it is one of those wooden sound reflectors. That was, I believe, an early version of a microphone really to aid direction of the voice of the vicar or the priest giving the sermon. So instead of dissipating into the roof, it bounced off. And that raised balcony by the chancel used to be an old classroom, and it even had a fire in there. You can just see the remains of the fireplace up there, the chimney stack. Don't think you can get there anymore. I don't think there's any access up there anymore. I think this is what we call the vestry. There would have been access probably from here. There's a fireplace, look. Gosh, these days I wouldn't pass with it with all the wood around it. A lot of mould in here. This is the north facing wall, so you can see there's signs of damp everywhere. Gas fire in here, I suppose, for when people use it. Coffin shaped seat. And then all the visitors' information there. And I will be making donations at each church today. And the visitors' book, which I'm going to sign. The last visit was the 28th of the 1st. And today is the 30th. So they were from Trowbridge by the look of it. And the visit before that was quite a while, the 12th of the 1st. Give you an idea of the rarity of visitors. There's my last visit, the 11th of the 11th. Of course, it's Remembrance Day ride. I made a video about that, and you see, I've just put it there, look. From Bath, and just a bit about my journey, cycling to Salisbury via 6 times CCT churches today. Add that on there, otherwise it looks like low day. Wow, this is very atmospheric, just before dawn. Right, let's go and get some money. I'll make a donation and then we'll be on our way. Let's see, it's getting light already. You really see how close the railway is here. So immediately we go out here, we start going back up that hill, and you pass under the railway bridge, Then after a couple of 100 yards, you turn left the other side of the railway. I head down that way towards our second church, which is going to be Sutton Veny. This is number 3 on the diagram, which I'll put on the screen now. And our next one is going to be number 20, St Leonard at Sutton Veny, and that's going to be 9.5 miles. That's down in the Wylye Valley, the other side of Warminster. Many people will be familiar with that village. It's on the Wylye Valley route, which is popular with cyclists. It's part of the Wiltshire cycleway. I made my donation. Just quick last minute check that I've locked. Take the key back, and then we'll be heading off. Goodbye to St Mary's at Old Dilton. Then we start climbing back up underneath the railway, which runs right alongside the churchyard, and this wonderful bridge down this wooded hill, back to the junction. Then we'll head down into Warminster, and then Sutton Veny, our next stop. It's just wonderful, isn't it? Beautiful location for a church in this sunken lane. Just crossing the River Wylye here, first of several times today. So many cyclists will be familiar with this route. It runs down paralleling the railway heading down to Salisbury and the River Wylye. It crosses it many times. Lovely little chalk stream. We're now on the Wylye Valley Road, still picking up a little bit of traffic, coming into the village of Sutton Veny. As I said, we're following the river and the railway down, and actually over there by about half a mile is the A36. Later on, our third church, we actually have to go over on the A36 and do sort of like a U bend to get to it, and then rejoin this, and then actually climb out of the Wylye Valley soon after. Been through here so many times, I just cannot picture where the church is. I've just realised why there's a bit of traffic down this road, which is normally quite quiet. We're just passing the church in the village, which most people will be familiar with. They'll have passed it. The parish church of St John the Evangelist, Sutton Veny. It's got Commonwealth war graves in there, but what it's also got is a school next door, which is why there's so much traffic down here. It's a school run. But we're turning off left shortly down to St Leonards. A few hundred yards along from there, that's where we're heading, down there, Duck Street, down the No2 Road. And then we come back and we retrace this way, High Street, down the valley. Look, there's even a sign there. Considering I like churches so much, I'm ashamed to say I've never really spotted that. You think you know the area so well. I've literally been up and down that Wylye Valley Road so many times. I would say well over 100 cycling over the years. And I'd probably clock this lane down here, but I've never been down here before, and it's absolutely wonderful. Daffodils, saw daffodils on Saturday actually on the Old Axe Road, and crocus and snowdrops. And look, there's a little stream running through, coming off the Wylye. Look how clear that water is. That is so clean. And about 50 yards down the track, here we are. It's a partial ruin, I'll remember that now. There's a sign on the railings, the church's Conservation Trust, asking you to respect that it's still a cemetery, even though it's not a worshipping church anymore. I've got the page up, so we'll go through that shortly. I'm going to have to leave the bike there because there's a kissing gate. Let's go and have a look at St Leonard's Church, Sutton Veny, Wiltshire. The overpowering sound is bird song, all in the trees. You can hear the roar, which is probably the busy A36 about half a mile over there, although you cannot see it. Wow. Let's have a look round. I'll give you some impressions, then I'll read out what it says here. I think part of it is still available to go inside, if I remember right. Gosh, I don't know what that is. You can see all the chalk down surrounding it. I had no idea this was here. Wow, look at the big arch. Ah, main entrance possibly. So there's the ruins, that wonderful arch there. Just had some remedial stonework done. Here's the live part of the church. Right, time to see if we get in. All hat off as usual. Yes, it's open. Fantastic. Hat off. Wow. Not expecting any lights in here. I wouldn't want them either. Gosh, look at that hearse. Font, stone font, no lead. Visitor information table there. That's wonderful, isn't it? Seen a few type trolleys, seen a few coffin trolleys, but I've never seen a covered one like that before. I'm presuming that's to drape all the robes. So this must be the chancel then. Made step up to the altar, wooden podium. Gosh, the old Bible. Prayer book. Hint of red stained glass in that window. Assuming that's facing east. Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Even in here you can hear the bird song. See the bell up there? All these tablets around. Coat of arms above the arch. I'm assuming this is the chancel. Yeah. And that would have been the nave in there. And the porch. I'll read up shortly. Just always like to give you my thoughts first of all. Wonderful stained glass windows. Very thin ones. Very atmospheric in here. As I said, you just hear the bird song even in here. Right, I'll give you the overview, what it says on the CCT website. An atmospheric partial ruin. Old St Leonards was abandoned in the 1860s when a new church was built. That must be the one up the road. It is now partially ruined and only the chancel, previously used as a mortuary chapel, still has its roof. The chancel contains some interesting artefacts, including benefaction boards, a beer, I think that says, I'm not sure what that is, font, bell, and many elegant memorials on the wall. There's a free online audio guide there. As I said, I'll drop all the links to these churches in the description below if you want to visit them for more information. And it's got lots of photographs there. Sign of Vista's book. Some old views of it. Very atmospheric. That must have been the nave. Just stonework like that, keeping that arch up there. Just wonder how much that will have cost. I'm going to go back to my bike now and have a look and see where the next church is. Because although I know all these roads, I don't know where the churches are located, which is why I've listed them all. And I've also put the mileages down so my Garmin will help alert me that we're coming up to the next one. So let's have a look. I've done a screen grab of my list. So the first church, Old Dilton, St Mary's, was 3 miles. This is St Leonard's, Sutton, Veny, 9.5 miles. And now our next church is St Nicholas in Fisherton, Delamere, at 17 miles. So about another 7.5 miles to go. As I remember it, I'll put the map of the route on the screen now, but we carry on down this Wiley Valley Road. Just before we get to Wiley, we actually then zoom over to the main road. We do about a mile or so down the main road. And then there's a little loop off that. That's where the next church is. And rather than retrace, we can carry on down the A36 and then cut back across, right, southwards onto this Wiley Valley route. And it'll bring us into the village of Wiley and then we leave the Wylye Valley and climb up over into the Nadder Valley. First up, we need to retrace along here, left, back on that road that's running that way. You can now see the Wylye Valley Road has really opened up and it's very quiet. This is why it's so popular with cyclists. Just avoid that busy A36 over there. See the northern hills in the distance. Then the southern slopes over there. In fact, that's Margaret's 45B up there, the Roman road, running from Old Sarum near Salisbury to Chartreuse on the Mendips, where there were lead mines. And although I've ridden this road many times before, I'm sort of excited today because I know I'm exploring new places. That church, St Leonard at Sutton, Veny, is a perfect example. Just never knew that was there. I don't think it's going to be too long now before we leave this quiet Wylye Valley Road, head over to A36. Certainly going to be busier than this, but I'm hoping not too busy. And even if it is, we need to ride a bit of it to get to the next church. I think we may be going left here actually. Yeah, I think we're leaving the road here. Codford it says. Right. Well, this road is definitely busier than I was hoping it would be. Wonder if there's a pavement or a path. Again, crossing the River Wylye here. Wow, that's quite nice. Braking the traffic, thank goodness. You can see this is not a road you would choose to ride on. Okay, it looks like I might have a bit of a shoulder to ride on. No footpath. As I said, luckily we're not on this very long. I'm not going to lie, that mile or so was pretty horrible. I pulled in a couple of times just to let the build-up traffic go by, but it's single carriageway, very busy. Ironically, there's the right hand turn down there we're taking a couple of 100 yards, and we got some pavement just for that section. Nice to get off that road just for a bit. Village only, unsuitable for HGVs. Is that the river we're coming down to? Gosh, yeah. Wow, that's a good view of it. More daffodils. The Dover House. Let's just go and check this out, because I'm wondering if there was a footpath I could have possibly taken along this river. The Wylye does split quite a lot actually, and this is clearly one of them. Well, it looks like an old watermill there. Look at the flow of it there. I'm wondering if there was some type of footpath I could have possibly ridden along. I would definitely investigate that for future trips. Just that mile or so on that road was just absolutely horrible. River Wylye, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a bad little garden, is it? Little afternoon house. Oh, there's the tower of the church that in the village. So the road's running up there. We've just dropped down doing this loop to the church. Then we're going to be curving back round and getting on it, but not for very long, I hope. Look, they've got a chimney right there and everything. Wow, what a wonderful spot. Well, this is the payback. That was not very nice at all. This is lovely. This is not even a metalled road, it's more of a track along here. Overpowering roar of that river. Wow, thatched cottages. And then looking out for the entrance for the church. Wow, this is nice, isn't it? Sometimes you've got to go through hard times to find the brilliant times of you. Looks like the sloping edge of the churchyard. I can honestly say I've never been down here before. Heron Cottage. Very evocative. That was past the church maybe? Yeah, it looks like it. Well, payback time. This is actually quite nice. Feels almost like a back drive past these houses. The old village road. And here's the old village church. Oh, this is what I've come to find today. Just moments like this when you think, just gosh, I'm so looking forward to going through there. And it looks like I'll be able to get my bike through. Yeah, simple little hasp type lock. Bulbs everywhere, daffodils. Wow. Definitely a payback for that horrible bit on the main road. Oh, there's a footpath down there. Going to see where that leads shortly. Some wooden gates into the porch. As usual, hat off before going in the church. There's this wonderful lamp there by the porch. Oh, there's a steel plaque on the bell tower. What's that say? This church was rebuilt in a Roman numeral year by John Davis Esquire. But I was looking at this. This lamp has an interesting backstory. It says, the porch lamp was given in memory of Lieutenant Colonel Norman Jeanes by the staff of Fisherton, Delamere and Deptford Estates, 6th of September 1972. So you've got these wooden gates here. Let's go inside and have a look. Oh wow, look at that. It's quite a nice look. Wow, that is really nice, isn't it? Almost like a boomerang. Wonderful. Never quite seen a lock like that before. St. Nicholas, Fisherton, Delamere. Oh, you get a breeze straight away. Smell of wood, but not that musty smell you sometimes get. Looks like there might be some lights in here. Not coming on, possibly a master switch somewhere. Don't really need it, to be honest. The visitor's book. Some prayer books and Bibles, Christmas tree, font with the cover on. It's pretty substantial, isn't it? Ring, tea lights. Walk forward. This is unusual. You've got like a gallery and a cross over the chancel, as well as having that one at the back. We'll go up there shortly. Let's go forward first of all. Fairly basic raised pulpit look. Wonderful old organ, pump organ. Get the idea, pump organ. Wow, never seen a gallery like that up there before. Across, I've seen them sideways sometimes, perpendicular. Oh, some steps up onto it. Oh, is that some? Yeah, some gates into the chancel. Not go in if. Oh yeah, no, there is access. Very dark in here. Straight away raised. You can tell. Just different lighting altogether. Different floor. So we walk towards the altar. Some stained glass above the altar. Wonderful carved pews. So that would be east, south, back through, well, I suppose you'd call this a screen, wouldn't you? Put the locks back. Take the stairs up there. Gosh, look at that lovely ornamental carving. Okay, let's go up here. Very narrow and very steep. There's the cross. Wow. Screen looking down into the chancel. And then much more light looking back into the nave. All the pews and the raised balcony at the far end. Much lighter out here, as is often the case. It's much more normally subtle light in the chancel, but I would say that is very, very dark. Even though this is a lovely place, and I'm loving this, I can just hear the roar of traffic up there a few hundred yards. I will say to you, if you come here, these steps are very narrow and very steep. I really am being very cautious walking down here. Lower my head, make sure I don't bang it into the screen. I'm not going to go up into the pulpit. I'm going to go walk back, have a look at that gallery, and then we'll get the page up. I'll tell you a bit about this church. Tell myself a bit about it as well, because I know nothing about it apart from it's a wonderful location. It's very atmospheric. Yeah, locked. The back balcony is much more user friendly. This is actually designed for people, isn't it, for worshippers? Much more basic pews back here. All right. Visitors book again, 1st to the 12th, 6th of the 12th, Christmas Carol service, Friday the 22nd of December, 23. Happy Christmas to all. And then the last visitor is that the 24th of the 1st from NBC. Happy with that, whatever that means. I'm going to add my name there. So yeah, the last people to sign the book anyway were these people at the Christmas Carol service, 22nd. And then this gentleman here, just over a month later. St Nicholas Church, Fisherton, Delamere, Wiltshire. The overview. Medieval marvel in wonderful walking country. This hillside church stands in a pretty churchyard and is a convenient stopping point for Wylye Valley walkers with wonderful views. That suggests there could well be a footpath I could use just from that last section to avoid the A36. That needs a bit of investigation. There has been a church here since Norman times, and the font in the church today dates from that period. Wow. However, the current building was built in the 14th century and then largely rebuilt in the medieval style in the 19th century using original materials. The outside is built in a checkerboard pattern of flint and stone, typical of many churches in this area. Inside, it's light and airy. That's interesting. There is an elegant screen which dates only from 1912. Gosh, I'd have thought that was much, much older. The architect, F.C. Eden, was commissioned to design it, as well as other woodwork in the church. He had intended the screen to be painted, but this was never carried out, mainly because the screen was tremendously unpopular with the people of the parish. Gosh. One of the most touching monuments in the church is a poignant memorial to two babies of Thomas and Joan Crockford, showing one child in bed and the other wrapped in shroud. Thomas Crockford was a vicar in the 1600s. Right. Oh, there it is. Okay, it mentioned the outside being traditional flint and stone. Let's go back and have a look and see if we can recognise that. I love that lock, that latch. Look at that. The gates have, look at that. The gates have really got to line up properly. I'm trying to do it with one hand while I film. Okay, let's walk back and just have a look at the church. That looks like it might have been the old entrance, the main entrance up the church from the village. A couple of yew trees there by the look of it. This was the western door. I imagine that probably led into the rectory, possibly. But then the main entrance for the public and the worshippers is into the porch. Oh yeah, look, stone and flint. That wonderful tower. That big high ground up there, that's the southern slopes out of the Wylye Valley, across the Nadder Valley. And that's where we're heading shortly. So we've got to go back up the A36, go along, and there's a big, almost kind of spaghetti junction. I'll show you a diagram on the GPS route. And we've got to weave through that and get back down on that road down there. And as soon as we join it, we come into the village of Wylye and we almost instantly climb out of it over a level, cross it, and right out there. And that's where the Roman road goes along there. Marguerite's 45B. Let's just have a look down this entrance through these wonderful trees. Look at that, you're coming down onto someone's gutter. Ah, yeah, it did say it was set up on a hillside. You just hear the running water behind that. Victorian postbox there, wall box. Green. Track leading back up the main road by the bit. All these thatched cottages. And this would have been the stairway to heaven. Up to the church. Past this wonderful ivy. These wonderful stone stairs. This really is a voyage of discovery today. When I think how many times I've ridden along that road just down there, unaware that all of this was here. Wow. Quite imposing, isn't it? Oh, look at that down there, looking down on the river. And then the church suddenly reveals itself. I do love this place, I really do. Next time I come back, I'm going to see if I can come along the riverside. The description of that church seems to suggest there may be a riverside footpath. It's the old road in and out of the village. Road's got that sunken feel to it as it comes down, cut into the hillside. Oh, I can just see a lorry flashing by. Definitely rideable with a lot of care. But for me personally, personal opinion, I'd rather ride this slowly and cautiously than be a little bit faster, but on that. And as we come into the village of Wylye, we're actually crossing the River Wylye. And as I also thought earlier, there could well be a Wylye footpath. So that might be an alternative. You can see it flowing along quite quick here. Definitely needs a little bit more research here. to make that leg to Fisherton, Delamere safer and more pleasant. So we're coming into the village of Veny. Once we join that minor road, the one we were on earlier on, the Wiltshire cycleway, we're going to turn off it right almost immediately, and that's cross the railway and climb out of the valley. Then the church there right next to the pub, 11:30. Just a shade to St Mary the Virgin, Veny. Once again, I've never been down this way. I've just stayed well away from the main road. Didn't even know there was a village stores here. Just to recap, if I hadn't made that detour to Fisherton, Delamere, I'd have come in from that direction, carried on down this way by the wonderfully named Teapot Street. Always wondered where that went. Now I know. We're going right where that car's about to turn, climbing out of the valley. So we've got the main road, the A36, this Veny Valley minor road, the river and the railway, which we're just about to cross the railway on Dilton Road. Level crossing there, look. And then it's a steep climb up onto the Great Ridge. Now climbing out of the valley, I can see so many landmarks. See all the traffic going along the A36, Walmarts to Salisbury Road. And over there, in the closer distance, probably better example of it there, that's the A303. A303, just cut across the A36 there. That's the northern ridge heading out of the Veny Valley. That would be heading over to the Wiltshire Downs. And we're near the summit, and as this road starts to drop down to Leonard, we're turning off right, and it's a section of farm track and farm road. I think it's a cut through from, somebody told me it was for milk containers, so they didn't have to do U-turns on the busy A303. It allows them to cut across down to local farms, and that's what we're doing today. And I've always considered that to be part of Margary's 45B. Maybe not geographically exact, but it's pretty much doing the same thing, very close to where Margary's 45B would have been. So summit, and then turn right that way over to our fourth church over that way somewhere, before we eventually head back down into Wilton that way. Very atmospheric up here. Not sure if I'd want to be caught up in bad weather actually. And the road sort of kinks round, does a bit of a Z-bend here as it starts to cut into the descent on the way down. You may see a sharp deviation sign there, so heading to the left. We're going to be turning off to the right. So it may look like I'm going down a muddy track, but it will become metalled. Need to be careful, this is a blind bend. So I believe Margary's 45B emerged on that track along there and then came along here. So we're roughly on the course of an old Roman road. And then this will suddenly just turn into a metalled farm road. You'll see what I mean, almost like a runway on an airfield. Can you see it suddenly goes from muddy track to a metalled farm road, restricted byway. So possibly that might be Margary's 45B coming in that way. I've always assumed it's more this way, keeping a straight line. This will open up in a minute when we leave the tree canopy. Get some cracking views up here on a summer's day. It's absolutely beautiful. May get a few people parked up, walking their dogs, maybe hikers. Once up here, I saw what I assumed to be an archaeology team. Looked like they were doing a dig and they were putting a drone up as well. What they thought of me in my Roman outfit, I don't know. That was one of the occasions when I rode this section just as a Roman centurion. Here we are. It's definitely got that feel of a farm road, but it also, for me, being a bit of a history geek, it feels like I'm riding an old Roman road here. Just come along this section, cross this minor road, going north to south. You can see all the A303 going along there. We're going to carry straight on, remaining on a byway, but I think it might be a good idea to check the distance to the next church. So it's going to be St Leonard, at Berwick St Leonard, at 26 miles. And we're on 23 and a quarter. So I believe we go along there and eventually we turn off down to the left, I think. See the woods up there and that big tower? That's basically where Margary's 45B would head. And I've tried going that way, going this way, and both are quite tricky, and both of them eventually force you onto the A303. And fortunately, it's single carriageway, which very quickly turns into dual carriageway. And when you get to near that aerial where you want to start veering off it westwards, there's actually a central reservation, which means you can actually cut across the dual carriageway. You don't have to wait for a gap in the traffic and safely get back onto the course of what is actually well established as Margaret's 45B. Lots of it, even experts can't agree exactly where it ran, but there's a section along there where I think most people agree that was it, following the Great Ridge along there. Anyway, I diverge along here, then at some point we're going to be heading down to our next church. Okay, that short section of restricted byway brings us this minor road here, and we're going to leave the byway here, head down there into Cranbourne Chase. The restricted byway heads that way. So if you're following Margary's 45B, that's one of the options to get over to those woods there. Okay, dropping off this bridge, and I can see we're coming up to a T-junction. This is probably a good place to describe what we're doing. So we're coming down off the ridge. That's that road running right to left there. We're going to turn right, and that's our dog leg down to the next church. And this is the overview of the route. So that's the start, that's the big loop at the finish. So we're coming down. Maybe not as clear on here. We're going along to do that dog leg. Then when we come back, we carry on in that direction. When we dropped off that ridge, we came down, joined this road. We're coming this way. We've just passed through Fonthill Bishop, and we're at this junction here. Salisbury's that way, as you can see. We'll be heading back that way. Fonthill, Gifford and Tisbury are down that way. The biggest stately park you go through there. I've been through there a few times. We're heading this way to our next village on the road to Wincanton, but it's quite a nasty, tricky headwind along here, so presumably after lunch when we turn round it'll be beneficial going back that way. I hope so anyway, but I'm quite looking forward to getting there now. Can't be more than another mile or so, so we're already on 27 miles. Well, I've just checked the list and it says St Leonard, Berwick at 26 miles, and we're on 27, so I may have added a little bit on, but it can't be much further along there. But there isn't much along there really, isn't it? It's quite bleak. That village almost came out of nowhere. Whenever the figures don't stack up, I always start having self-doubt. So I just wanted to make sure I was definitely heading west, which I am. I kind of knew I was from the bearings on that, but I just wanted to make sure I hadn't turned wrong at that junction back there. But I can also see there's a boundary sign up there, so hopefully that's a village, because, you know, by the looks of it, we're going to be over distance. Anyway, just a little bit of reassurance there. And hey ho, we are coming into Berwick St Leonard. It's very bleak along here. Okay, just past the bus shelter there and a post box and lay-by. Going down onto an estate by the look of it. Berwick St Leonard, the church is down here somewhere. Looks like it weaves about a little bit. Get a better idea once we start moving. Okay, as you come into this little farm estate, some houses, residences up there. I think that's a church in front of us. It seems to sort of correspond with the GPS. So we're going to go weave up round along to it, maybe along that footpath. Just follow the track. So it looks like you're heading into that farm estate. You cross the little stream here along this unmetalled track. And that must be the church there. Well, I should have taken that little track up there to the houses and then come around the back. But this also gets you there through this footpath. Here we are, St Leonard's Church. I can tell that's a faded CCT church sign. Nothing left on it. Welcome, the church is open. Please do come in. And look, there's a porch, gosh, with the bell ropes. Candle there, oh, Churches Conservation Trust, definitely we are here. Micro volunteering, St Leonard's Church. I won't eat my sandwiches in church, I never do, I just feel it's a little bit disrespectful, but I will come out and use the porch. Really nice out the cold here. I don't think I've ever seen bell ropes in a porch before. Okay, time to get all my Garmin's off, start charging everything, charge my camera and everything. What's all that in there? That's going to be my lunch spot. So I bought out my day power pack. It's the Belkin 10,000 milliamp hour power pack. So I'm just topping my Garmin up. That's the one I'm navigating and recording the ride on. It's down to 40%, so that definitely needs a charge. That's a USB-C cable, and I'll be topping this action camera up when I come out the church, but I want to actually go in there and film that all hat off as usual. Right, let's go inside. I've got the page up, but I'll discuss that when we come back out. Oh, cold and musty smell. Not unpleasant, but just, it does hit you a little bit as you come in. Drop in temperature. Hear the wind blowing through the eaves. Font at the back with the cover. Some candles. The brass top. Lovely wooden beamed roof. Doesn't look like there's any electric lights here. Plenty of candles. Quite a low stone pulpit. Well, I bet this is really nice when it's lit up with the candles. Wow, candles everywhere, look. And that little recess there. Hear the wind whistling through the roof. Yeah, that was quite hard work coming this way westwards, so hopefully going eastwards it'll be a lot easier towards Wilton this afternoon. Okay, as usual into the chancel, up a step, mosaic floor. As usual, just the tone and the atmosphere appears to change when you come in the chancel. Up to the altar. Stained glass window with niche. Symbolises rebirth and renewal. North, seen less favourably. West, seen less favourably. East, south, all seen more favourably as I understand it. To be honest, I wasn't going to eat my sandwiches in here, I just will not do that. But I've got a feeling it's actually probably going to be warmer outside in that porch. It feels quite cold in here. Atmospheric though. We'll get the page up quickly and tell you a little bit about it. Here we are. St Leonard's Church, Berwick, Wiltshire. Pretty good photograph of the outside. Stained glass there, the chancel. Oh, those etchings outside, I'm pretty sure they're significant, so maybe read up about those hopefully. Mosaics. Haven't seen that yet. I'm going to look for that, see what it says. Okay, the overview. Poignant monuments to lost children. The low tower and pretty porch of this tiny church are seen through trees from the road. Of 12th century origin and 1859 restoration by the owner, the local Fonthill estate saved it from complete decay. Right. The font and a sculptured relief of the Lamb of God on the south doorway are Norman survivals. A handsome 1647 monument depicts George Howe and his wife caressing a skull, and another poignant monument is to the 6 children of George Howe, the oldest of whom was 3 years of age. Right, let's see if we can spot some of that. The font and sculptured relief of the Lamb of God over the south doorway on Norman survivals. Maybe that means outside because there's... Oh, no, what's that there? One step. Ah, yeah, the Lamb of God. That etching there, pretty sure that's relevant. Doesn't mention it though. A handsome 1647 monument depicts George Howe and his wife caressing a skull. I wouldn't have said that was a skull, but it's quite dark in here. On the wall, there's a stone set into the church, and it's inscribed St Leonard, Berwick, St Leonard. And I'll try and explain what these couple of lines mean to the best of my ability. It says, this church is maintained by the Redundant Churches Fund. As I understand it, that was the original charity or the fund set up to save these historic churches as they were transferred from the church across to the fund. And I understand they changed the name from the Redundant Churches Fund, which basically just not very inspiring really, is it, to the Churches Conservation Trust. So that was the original charity. And it says, though no longer required for regular worship, it remains consecrated to the service of God. Please respect it accordingly. For key, please see separate notice, I think. So it may occasionally be locked or possibly used to be locked. All this lead work around here. Wow. Gosh, my hands are quite cold in this wind. I'm hoping it's going to be warmer and a bit easier cycling this afternoon. Anyway, really is time for lunch now. This is going to be my lunch stop, so I bought a drink on my bike and also my sandwiches from Bath. And I've actually put on my waterproof thin Mac, my shower-proof Mac, just to try and keep the warmth in. Shutting, I don't think it's going to make it any warmer, but maybe psychologically it may feel a little bit more cosy in here. God, wouldn't it be nice to have a candle going? Anyway, time for lunch. It's going to be getting dark around about 5 o'clock. I'd like to get to the last church in the light. The church after this is going to be in Wilton. I honestly cannot place where it is. It's probably up a side street somewhere. I've been through Wilton so many times. I know where the main modern church is. And then we head south down into the Chalk Valley before coming back up into Salisbury from the south. And then Wetherspoons is very close to the railway station. But the final church is quite off the beaten track by all accounts. More so than this maybe. I don't know. This is pretty off the beaten track. I've just fired up the Garmin's. I just want to do a progress check. So that says we've done 27.68, say 27.7 miles. And this church should have been at 26 or thereabouts. That was supposed to have been 28 and I've written it down wrong. I don't know, but we could well be almost 2 miles out. So the next one is Wilton. That's 39 miles. So we've got another 13 miles. So 13 on top of that. It's going to be about 40, isn't it? Just to give me a rough idea. And that's going to be St Mary Old Church in Wilton. So unless anything happens, I'm going to concentrate on getting to Wilton that way. We appear to have climbed up on this ledge, looking down on another. Wonderful up here. These lovely old woods on my right hand side. Not a car in sight. Heading towards our next church at Wilton. What we're on now, 32.25 miles. I warmed up. I'll be taking a layer off shortly. Just keeping it on in case we do a sudden drop off this ridge. Yeah, this is wonderful. Looking back over towards the Wiley, the direction we'd come. So we're running parallel really to that road just the other side of those trees. But I keep hearing some booms. I'm getting that shockwave, on my ear, the sound wave. So I imagine it's probably the army up on Salisbury Plain, possibly over by Imber, artillery or tanks firing. And this is where we're heading. Drop down onto this, what appears to be like a B road. It's not very busy, making very good progress, as I hoped we would. We're running right alongside the River Nadder. Look at that, flowing really fast. This is Barford St Mary. Assume there must be a bridge here. Heading towards Wilton. Oh, I've just spent hours here looking at that. It's wonderful. That's looking south further down into Cranbourne Chase. Came in from the left, it was a B road, and then we've joined the A30 Salisbury that way. And we've just taken this little leg here, crossing the River Nadder, as you can see. Then along there, we're going to take a left-hand turn. So then we're basically crossing over the river. We're going to follow it parallel on the southern bank of it. Along here, about a mile or so, is the village of Fovant. See that big chalk ridge up there? There's a load of chalk badges carved into that. There were many different nationalities and regiments stationed all in this area during the First World War. And they carved chalk regimental badges into that hillside up there. I was hoping you might be able to see it from here, but you can't. But it's about another mile that way. It's well worth a view. There's even a lay-by there, and it's got an information board telling you which each badge represents. There's even one there on for a Pals battalion of the post office, because I used to be a postman, so that was quite poignant for me. Anyway, crossing the Nadder, a couple of 100 yards more on this A30, which is not that busy. Then we're going to be heading towards Wilton that way. Well, as if from nowhere, Wilton suddenly appeared. I've been loving riding alongside the stream of the Nadder. But coming into Wilton, the location of my 5th church, and I've just checked, my itinerary says it will be at 39 miles, and I'm now on 38. So I could well have written that last one down wrong, the one that confused me, 26, 28, etc. Anyway, Wilton. There's a much more interesting and inspiring boundary sign, just a few hundred yards on. Historic Wilton, ancient capital of Wessex. We're looking for St Mary's Old Church. Again, coming up to the T-junction there, give way sign. And you can see, we go left, that dog leg, that's where the church will be. Then retrace, head that way to the final church. Anyway, left at this T-junction. I've already put my light on, not sure what time it is, but cars are already starting to light up. It's set in the town square, all the shops surrounding it. In the bottom half is a ruin. You can clearly see the footprint of the nave. As you come in through the door, this would be the remains of the nave and the chancel. Very light, very warm feeling. It says here, St Mary's Old Church. In the medieval period of English history, there were said to be 12 churches in Wilton. The site of St Mary's Old Church, this, is thought to be the earliest of these. Oh, looks like a model of the complete church in wood. Gosh, I wonder what that's all about. Oh, it says, Old St Mary's Church model. According to the Church's Conservation Trust records, the model of Old St Mary's Church is thought to be made by a local clockmaker somewhere in the second half of the 19th century. The accurate detail of the hidden interior suggests someone with an intimate knowledge of the church. They don't know who he was. Up the step into the chancel to the altar. They're not real candles, are they? They're electric flickering ones. Still very evocative. Looking up at the stained glass crucifixion window. I'm filming on my phone because my microphone for the action camera's just lost its charge, so I'm just charging that. So I'll put the Church's Conservation Trust page for this church up now rather than try and read off it. Read off it. Oh, look, that stained glass at the back. It's only about 3:30, but it feels like it's lighting up time already. So a fleeting visit. See the traffic lights. I'm going to be heading that way, climbing out of this valley, the Nadder, across to the chalk. I'll put a diagram on the screen now what we're doing, but basically Salisbury is just a couple of miles that way. We're literally on the outskirts of it, but we're going to go down there and do a big U below it, and that'll be the site of the last church. Really looking forward to that because it sounds very remote. And I saw someone put a Twitter post on about it last year sometime, and it caught my imagination then, so I've been wanting to come to it for ages. But that's not to take anything away from this one. This is lovely. It's funny, isn't it? I know this place quite well, been here many times, but it just feels, because I've come here with a theme, I'm just seeing it in a completely different way. Just before we head off, I've checked my itinerary. This was on 39 miles, and it is, you can see, 39.42. And the next one is 43. So just 4 miles that way before we loop back round into Salisbury, rush hour, darkness and Wetherspoons. Just done a grind up that hill, which is quite hard work. Now I've just been sent down this bridleway. Looks like I've got about 2 miles to go, maybe a bit under. And it's coming up to 4 p.m, so I don't particularly want to be here in the dark, so let's get a crack on. Okay, luckily that section was only about half a mile long, and about half of it was quite soft and boggy, muddy. Wouldn't want to ride that in the dark because there's sort of potholes that are filled with water. I was able to avoid them in the light, and then it's got more firm. I've come out here opposite the entrance to the race course, and my Garmin's sending me down there on tarmac, thank goodness. We're now dropping down quite steeply. I think we're going down into Chalk Valley. You can sort of see a line along there, cars coming along with their lights. And it looks like we're coming into a village. That could well be ours, Stratford, Tony. I can certainly see the tower of what looks like a church there. So it could be that building right in front of us. See if I can zoom in. That tower, sort of about there. As I thought, we're coming into Stratford, Tony, the village, and if I show you the Garmin track there, you can see we're here where the cursor is. We're about to go straight on, round to the right, that dead end dog leg, that's the church. Then we trace and head off the left towards Salisbury and Wetherspoons. We've just dropped down off that ridge, and then we've come to this T-junction stroke crossroads. Can see the road that I've come down, signposted back up to the racecourse, and we're going to be eventually heading left towards Salisbury, but first up we're heading down this no-through road to our final church. This is the track the description talks about. Down the track, this is the River Chalk actually, delightful, and then it's isolated round here. It's walled garden here. I can see a signpost down there by the bins turning round to the right. And there you can see by this junction on the green, all these bins. Historic church sign down there. But I came straight through this no-through road, which just fizzled out into a track, across the Chalk River. And here is the location. And that is the church up there. St Michael and another saint, I can't remember which two. I can't wait to get in there. I was hoping to get here before dark. Today's been absolutely fantastic, but gosh, what a setting. So glad to have got here in the light. See the car lights coming down the hill. There's plenty of electric lights here, which has surprised me. There's the outer solid door. There's like a chicken coop wiring door to keep birds out. and then the solid inner oak door. You can see there's plenty of light in here. Stone font with a wooden top by the look of it. Yeah. Bell tower with some stairs there. Bet you're not allowed up there. As I thought, no one authorised access. It's very steep, isn't it? Up through the ceiling into the bell tower. Back through this arch then. Wreath of poppies there. That's where all the lights are. I'll make sure I switch everything out before I go. St Mary and St Lawrence. Red tiled floor, fairly low pews, low actually. All these wonderful lights, very atmospheric. And quite a high pulpit. And as we step up into the chancel, it's almost like box pews here. Or is that for the choir? I'm not too sure. And the real subtle lighting. Looking at the altar. Up at stained glass of the crucifixion. Wow. Visitor's book. Somebody's been here today, the 30th, I think that says. But before that, it was the 19th. So I'll be the second visitor today. Oh, group of two, so I'll be the third. The third that have recorded their visit anyway. There, I've signed the book. Andy C, Bath Somerset, visiting 6 Wilts CCT churches by bicycle today. Oh, yeah. 20 to 6, I'm in Salisbury. This is Salisbury Cathedral. You may just see the spire up there, tallest in the UK. It was a nice, fast and smooth riding for Stratford Tony, which felt like a B road, a few cars but not too bad. And then I turned left and there was a long grind, out of the Chalk Valley, and I suddenly realised I was going up by the hospital before you drop down into Salisbury. And on the right hand side there's a really smooth cycle path. I'd used it before, so I stayed on that, came down to a really busy junction on the outskirts, had to put my light on, follow my Garmin. It took me through a gap in the hedge and I'm on this cycle path, and literally Wetherspoons is about less than a mile from here, so I'm well happy. I should be sat down by 6 o'clock, I hope. It's now coming up to 7:30 p.m. in the evening, and my train is at 7:42. It's on time. I've been monitoring it on the Trainline app. I got to Wetherspoons bang on 6 o'clock, locked up, and had lasagna and chips, a couple of pints, and also had a apple crumble and some ice cream. That went down really well, really enjoyed that. And basically just getting the train home now to Bath. As you can see, nobody else appears to be waiting for it. My bike is booked on, so hopefully there's plenty of space for it. I'm hoping it's going to be a really quiet train. I did say at the beginning of the video, I'll tell you a little bit about me and Linda's little adventure next week. So let me just tell you a brief summary, because I hope to make a video about it. It's my birthday next week, and we've booked the travel lodge at Dorchester for the week. We don't just go down there for the week, walks, shopping, days out, plenty of options. I like the history, there's plenty of things for me to do down there. I just don't ever get bored there. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we booked the Premier Inn for Christmas. We booked our train tickets, got an absolute bargain, we thought. Of course, next Monday's a train strike, and it's our train company that's not running that day. So I'm hoping there may be 1 or 2 trains running, but can't guarantee it. We won't know until the day. So I said to Linda, let's look into getting the bus down. So we looked into it, and it's not straightforward. There's no point to point. It's like a hub and spoke service, and believe me, it's going to be, if it all goes to plan, it'll be 5 hours and 12 minutes, because none of the buses coordinate with each other. You know, they get in 5 minutes after the one you want left, and they stop at every single stop on the way down to the small villages. So it could either be a brilliant experience or a journey from hell. Anyway, we've said that we quite often watch Race Around the World in bed at night on the iPlayer, and it's easy to sort of say, oh, you know, I wouldn't have done that, oh, that's a daft decision. Well, this is something similar, isn't it? So how it pans out, we just don't know. As I said, it'll either be a bit of an adventure or a complete disaster. So the default fallback option, which may pan out, is we just go down the following day. So we lose a night's accommodation we've already paid for, but our train ticket will be valid for the following day. But trying to work out the fares, it's beyond me. In theory, it should be £2 for the whole journey, because it says when you get on your first bus, just tell them what your final destination is, and it should be £2 for a single. But I can't see that somehow, can you? Where we live, into Bath bus station, Bath bus station to Wells bus station, hours wait there, Wells bus station to Yeovil bus station, Yeovil bus station to Dorchester bus station, and those are every 90 minutes. So can you see all that for £2? So that's what the next video will be. I'm not going to do a holiday video, I'll just do a quick blog about how that journey goes. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Next stop for me hopefully is Bath. See you soon.
The next station is Warminster. This is a Great Western Railway service to Cardiff Central.
Just a quick footnote, we've just passed Dilton Wire station, so we must be very close to Old Dilton. You can see it's pitch black out there. We must be going along that embankment right across St Mary's Church, the first one we went to this morning, that lovely wooded valley. Quite excited about that somehow. See you next time.